Hello, boils and ghouls, and everyone creepy in between. This is another episode of the Average Ghost Mom podcast. Hey, everybody! How are we doing today? Oh my goodness. I just have so much coming up this week that I'm recording this episode. And I'm really excited because my mom is coming down at the end of the month because I'm having surgery done. And her and I will probably talk about that on an episode. Um Probably I think in about 2 episodes. So you'll hear it a little late from when the surgery actually happened, but I need time, you know what I'm saying? So, um but today, I'll tell you what. I have just been really super duper busy. I've got a lot going on in my personal life right now, and um so I was thinking about what to do for this episode for a while, and I had a few ideas and I wasn't really quite sure. Um and I kind of landed on this one. Now, what is the topic of today? I don't know. The have you read the episode title? Let me go into that because Homeschool Art Class. What? I thought Ava was going to private school. She is. She is, and it's a very small private school, which is fine. Um, because of the things that she's getting out of going to this school kind of outweighs what I'm about to say. So like every school has its ups, has its downs. Some schools have more ups than downs, some schools have more downs than up. Either way, I'm not mad. I'm not upset, especially since she doesn't. Okay, I keep trying to jump around and beat around the bush. She doesn't have like an actual art class at this school. And that is okay. It is, but it's not. Um, they don't, the school is so small that they don't have it in their budget, or probably um they don't have the means right now to have like a legitimate art teacher in art class. Um and but on one hand, I'm kind of mm, eh, because every student should have the opportunity to grow and explore correctly with art, because I was taught so many things in my art class. Now, side note, when I was talking to one of my friends about this, she had gone to school in Mississippi. And if you don't know, Mississippi and Alabama are lower on the list of states with their public education. Now, granted, like her and I went to school at the same time. So this was in like we both graduated in 2016. So this is schooling from, you know, 2000 to 2016, you know. Um and I went to Nebraska, which has a higher rating than Mississippi and Alabama does. And it was very interesting for me to hear that she said, she goes, I really didn't have like an art class. Like, yeah, like we had an art class, but we only got to have art class once a month. She goes, because it'd be rotated between like art class, computer science, music, band, and library time. Like there's like a library class that kids would take. And I don't really know how to explain it for people who didn't have like library class. It's hard for me to explain because like in high school we didn't have library class. Library class was like an elementary thing. We'd go to the library. Sure, we'd use how to we learned how to use like some of the search engines in the library, and how to use like the Dewey Decimal System and how to find books. And then that's kind of really it. And it's like, well, how do you keep teaching the exact same thing for so long? And like I can't really explain it to you. It just was a library class. We'd go to the library for a whole class period. And that's all that I've got. That's all that I know. That's all that I can say. Um and so she said like, yeah, I'd only go to art class like once a month. And we didn't really like learn anything in it. We would just like have a little project that we would do. And I told her how in high school we had all these different kinds of mediums, and we were learning about like the five elements, and we were learning about all these artists throughout history. And she goes, yeah, no, we didn't have any of that. I said, you didn't have like a pottery class? She goes, a pottery class? I said, yeah, with like clay and the wheels. And she's like, no, never. And I was like, okay. Charcoal? She's like, no, never. And I'm like, that's crazy. That's crazy to me that they didn't have really a legitimate art class. And so then to see and know Ava's schedule, because I know like when we first, there's like a parent a meet the teacher day basically before school starts, and they gave us like a breakdown of the kids' day, and there's not room or time for like an actual art class. And though these teachers know so much, and they do, they are not teaching an actual art class. So like on one hand, like that sucks because like, like artistically inclined kids won't get the accessibility. Now they do have an art club, but that's an after school thing. It's not a daily thing. So I can't really have like, oh, every other Tuesday I go and pick up Ava. Like I wouldn't have a consistent schedule with my job. And I can't afford to put her into art club. Like, because she goes to private school, so we have to pay for the schooling and stuff. And that alone is, a good section of money. And then to be chunking out an extra every single month, we can't fit it into our budget. But it's kind of like I'm not completely upset because Ava's lucky in the sense of when I was a kid growing up, I wanted to be an art teacher. It wasn't until probably like sophomore year of high school when I switched and wanted to be a special education teacher. I wanted to be an art teacher for so long. I loved art class. It was my favorite. I loved being creative like that. And so I had when I got into high school, I mean, I still took every single art class that I could physically take in high school. Like, and then when I was going to college for 3 semesters, I took 1 to 2 art classes per a semester. So I really still wanted to minor in art still when I was in college. I was still very passionate about it then. Um, and so what I've decided is I'm going to teach Ava art at home. Um, because because she is very artistically inclined. Um, the things I could show you, like for Christmas, she wanted a $200 drawing app so that way she could, quote, learn how to draw realistically because they teach you how to shade, and shading means it's realistic. And I'm like, oh my God, like I would love to, but I cannot. A $200 app, I can't justify that, especially at this age that you are. If you're a little, because I know how she is. If something's too hard for her right now, she just gets upset and then just like leaves it alone. She won't come back to it for quite a while. And some of these things are really hard. And like, if it's not as good as she expects it to be, she automatically, of course, she automatically thinks that she's not good. And so then she's not going to touch it ever again. Like, she just loses the momentum to keep doing it. So I'm like, okay, how about for now we just work on things? We have YouTube. YouTube is free. There's other free drawing apps. There's books. Um, Now at her school, they have like free time at the end of certain periods or blocks. So they do have how to draw books and just like free coloring drawing paper. She has the capability to do some free drawing, and she could, and has these how-to books. I will say, side note, it's kind of cool. Since it's been colder here right now, they've been having a lot of like quote indoor recess, and they have some crochet kits. And so she has been learning how to crochet because a lot of the teachers at her in her room know how to crochet. So they've been teaching the kids how to crochet. And so she's not done anything wild or crazy. She's basically just made like two quote crochet necklaces. So she's just crocheted like a really long chain and then tied it at the end and calls it a necklace. Um, but I thought that was really interesting. And I see that now and I just have so many thoughts about it. Um, but anyway, jumping back to on topic. Um, so since I had such a passion and I have a little bit of like upper schooling, extended schooling about it. Um, Doing this is not only fulfilling for her because she actually gets like some more legitimate, like it's not completely legitimate because I'm not like an actual art teacher, right? Like I didn't get my degree. I only have like what I know and I have the internet, right? Um, but I have the drive and I have the passion. And so this is also like fulfilling for me because I get to do something directly with Ava that affects her knowledge in a fun way. It's not just constantly, oh, well, we need to clean our room, we need to have, we need to make sure we're staying up on and being a good human like that. And oh, we have to respect people and we have to be nice. It's not just like normal daily how to be a good human. This is like a fun creative side, and I hope that I get to help foster and help support her in this and work with her skills and that she gets really good because I mean if you start with them young with their passions and you just continue to support them and push them and help them advance their skills in whatever they're passionate about, like they could go really far on that. So I kind of I stayed up till like 11:30 one night. I mean, I went to bed at like 9:30 and I just couldn't get this thought out of my head of like, "Oh my gosh, Ava loves art, but she's not getting like an actual art class, so she's not going to learn these things. But I love art. I could teach her, you know? Because there's also Josh and I have been talking before we put her into the private school that she's in. We were talking a lot about options for school and um assuming that we can are able to financially continue put her into this private school. Like this private school only goes to ninth grade. As of next year, they will add ninth grade. Right now they only go up to eighth grade. But they want to add ninth grade and when do we pull her out of this school and put her in a public school? I'm like, well, I really don't want to put her in a public school. I'd rather just homeschool her because, you know, there's a lot of talk about that. And so with homeschooling having been a potential option for her, this is also kind of like a run for me at do I have the time to do this? Can I handle trying to teach my daughter? Because one of the reasons why I kind of switched from art teacher to special education teacher is like special education or kids that are in special education are just different from a regular classroom, you know? Like, in my opinion, from what I've seen and gotten to work with firsthand, because when I was in high school, I did a lot of work with, like, oh God, like, I can't say special needs people, but I don't know what else. I'm just gonna say special needs, and if someone has a better term, let me know in the comments on whatever platform you're watching on or listening to. I will take the heat for this, okay? I have like a lot of work with special needs people because my parents used to own a bowling alley and we'd host Special Olympics. And um, two of the classes that I had in high school were one was a teacher aide, but she let me actually do like teaching in the class and helping out in the class. And then the other one was Oh, hey, anybody who thinks they want to be a teacher in college and go to college for teaching, you can take, quote, this class and you'll get kind of like a more like firsthand experience at teaching. And so I did both of those classes in the special education classroom because the special education teacher was super cool, super chill. And she's like, oh, yeah, like for sure. She was really nice. Her name was Mrs. Huff. She was the gosh darn Beth. She was the gosh darn best. And she was like, yeah. Both of her classes, she can TA for me and she can, teach with me. And instead of TAing, she would go she was like, for her, it was kind of like getting a break. Because, I mean, special needs kids can be a lot, right? Can be very energy draining. I mean, but teaching, anyways, is very energy draining. So she'd be like, here, you want to teach. These are like the easiest kids to teach, I promise you. You're just going to do some reading, or you're going to do flashcards, and you're going to do math. And like everything is really simple because everything is like third grade level and lower. And I'm like, oh, chill, I can do that. Like, I can like teach third graders that are not third graders. And it was really fun. I mean, they're some of the sweetest, nicest kids. Wait, where was I going with this? Oh, okay. But like, I was like, but God, like high schoolers, like regular high schoolers, are such assholes, dude. Middle schoolers are the worst. And when you go younger, that's terrible. Because I also had another class where I would go, um, not tutor, but like I'd go to the middle school and I'd kind of work with middle school kids and kind of basically tutoring them. Oh, it was crazy. It was crazy. And I was like, wow, these kids are fucking assholes, dude. It's crazy. And I was like, so this is kind of a good run. Like, can I handle my own daughter? Because your child is going to treat you different than they treat their teachers different. Like, they're more comfortable with you. So they're going to like mess around with you more and be kind of like shithead to you more in a sense. So can I do this? Could I potentially teach my kid, if we had to if we resorted to homeschooling. So this is kind of like a little fun test run. So, I'm gonna share with you a whole bunch of information that came out of my brain and a little bit came from Google. And I'll say it like that because when I stayed up till 11:30 that night, I was thinking about all of these things, like thinking about all of this stuff with art. I broke things down into mediums, what they're being put on, and then I just called it different styles because I didn't know what else to call it. And then I have like a little like note section, right? Um, and I just put down like every single medium that I could think of, anything that came to mind, anything that I had worked on, anything I had seen or I know about, different kinds of like what we put it on, like canvas or paper, different kinds of paper that I could think of, and potentially not any paper if you're doing like a 3D project. There's no paper involved, theoretically. It depends on what you're doing. Excuse me. And then like different styles like pointillism and vanishing point and color theory and art history and shapes and Zentangles and portraits and all these different kind of watercolor things. I just had all these different things, right? And so I spent like 2 hours just thinking of anything I could think of, trying to remember back to my elementary days, trying to remember back to my middle school days, trying to think of every single, because I did so many art classes in high school and our art class was so big. Like, I mean, like the classroom was so big because there was like multiple teachers in that classroom, and I'd be on this side for some things and this side for some things and that side with one teacher and this side with one teacher and doing, I mean, like, it was just crazy. So I had so much to think about. And then also trying to think about what I did back in college or things that I had seen in college, but I didn't partake in college, you know. So, and then trying to think of just like other things that I didn't do, but because I have the capability and the tools at home, what could I do? Because artwork is basically anything as long as you have like the right mindset behind it. Because, like, of course, you can't just like do something. You could just do something and then call that art, but like generally there is a motive and like a purpose behind it. So trying to think back to just trying to put all this stuff down, trying to think of anything I could think of and putting it down. And then the next morning, when I woke up still thinking about this, I Googled like simple phrases like what to teach elementary art, what to teach middle school art, you know. Um, and Google AI had a good bit of things to say, and I wrote it down, and then I started to kind of focus on like the timeline, right? So I'm working with I'm working with one semester, half the school year, right? We have January, February, March, April, and May. And so I'm like, okay, well, she's only a first grader, so nothing's going to be too hard. Like, I can't do anything too hard, but equally, like, if I ask her to do anything, it's not going to be crazy elaborate, you know? Um, because she is just a first grader. Like, I'm trying to think, I can't remember what my first grade project was, but I remember my kindergarten project, and it was very simple stuff. So I'm like, okay, I don't have to think of anything elaborate for this semester. I don't have to think of anything hard. I don't have to I don't have to find all these resources and these videos because like my skill is not where I want it to be. That's the other reason why I switched from art teacher to special education teacher is because in high school I deemed that I was not a good enough artist to teach art. Like I thought my art was just okay, but it's not good enough to be an art teacher because like I see what the art teachers are doing and I'm like, wow, like that is amazing. And I'm like, I could never do that. My stuff never looks like that. My stuff never looks as good. And I look at and I compare my stuff to other kids' artwork and I'm like, mine doesn't even compare. Like they see the effort I put in and that's why I get the good grades, but mine just is not good like everybody else's. And part of it is, oh, well, you just didn't practice enough. You didn't practice enough. And like, yeah, like I've always been busy in my childhood. That's all I know how to be. That's why I'm a busy adult, is because I only know how to be busy. So maybe I didn't put in the time that I should have, like outside of school and practicing more. But equally, like, oh well, damned if you do, damned if you don't. So but I don't have to do anything hard like that right now. We're not there yet. And I'm hoping to push her skill and she becomes better than I am so I can show her, oh, this is how, this is what we're doing. I can show her like a video and then she can just, bam, just do it. And like, wow. So let me read my notes that I took. Okay, so just mediums off the bat. Because I also have to freaking remember and relearn all of this proper vocabulary too. So if there's anybody who's artistically inclined listening, send me an email. Write me a essay in an email and send it to me. Send me links to stuff. Send me screenshots. Well, don't send me screenshots. Just copy and paste it into the email. But still, like anybody who knows anything about art and in the sense of teaching art, send me everything you have, you can find. I will take whatever material you have to share. So, mediums, we have, okay, I say dry clay. It's not real clay. It's like that air dry clay that you get from Walmart because I'm not getting real clay. I don't have a kiln. I don't know where to get a kiln. Not get a kiln, but I don't even know where to find a kiln to borrow, let alone that's going to cost money. And we're just working with what I got, so the air clay, we have watercolor, acrylic paint, oil paint, we have marker, colored pencil, regular pencil, crayon, oil pastel, charcoal, chalk. Then we have fun things like ripping colored paper, magazine or newspaper, and then we have like nature itself outside. And then I thought of fabrics or felts would be an interesting pattern and texture to incorporate into future art projects. Things that we would do this on, obviously canvas, regular printer paper, watercolor paper, and colored like construction paper. Is mostly kind of what we're going to be having it on. I will eventually get like an all mediums paper, but I probably won't get that until second or third grade. Probably closer to third grade, It just depends on the projects that we have or that I'll plan for second and third grade. Um, and then what I call styles, which I know is not the right word, but that's the word that I've got, and you're just gonna have to deal with it, okay? Um, and not all of these mediums that are what we're doing this first grade. Same with all of these quote styles is not what we're all doing. I'll get to that part later, okay? So I have pointillism, vanishing point, color theory. And color theory is like if you had like kind of just like a quick little spurt about it. If I have the same colors, like I have a blob of gray, and then I surround that with two different colors, maybe like a green and then like an orange, the gray looks like it's two different shades, right? Or like sometimes when you're shading something, when we think of making a shadow for something that, you know, like a cast a shadow, we think, oh, we'll get like a gray or a black and we'll color in a shadow. But depending on the project, you actually would want to use the colors opposite. So like blue is opposite from orange. So if what you're drawing is orange and you need to cast a shadow onto the orange, you might want to consider drawing it with like a dark blue instead because of so many different reasons why that I A can't remember and B don't have time to explain probably. But anyway, it's a little bit of color history. Um then of course we have art history, and that is everything. I'm talking like caveman art, famous artists, statues and pottery from like the Greek and the Roman era, um, Japanese styled art, and all of their, oh my gosh, there's so many different styles that goes back into art history. Like that's a whole thing. And I don't know if I should just do like 1 year of art history or if I should pick like two or three and do two or three every year and do it like that. I just don't know. There's just so much. Um from there we also have so shadows and bright. Why did I write that? Probably working on everyone, not everyone. Clearly not everyone, but like one project that we did was we would draw a vase and we'd work on, okay, so if the light was coming from this way, where would the shadow be, and then where would like the brightest reflective point be on the pot or on the fruit, you know? So shadows and brights. We have organic shapes and geometric shapes, zentangle, grid work, portraits, which I'm so excited for portraits. We have watercolor additives, and that was just a fun little project that we did once. I think I was a seventh grader. And like you get watercolor and you color it on the watercolor page, but you can add like salt or you can color with white crayon first, or how does watercolor work with like crayon or marker or colored pencil on top of it, you know? So just what it's watercolor additives, but it's also how do these simple mediums combine with each other on certain papers. Um, I also just have simple like Bob Ross. Like eventually when we're older, well when she's older, of course I'll be older, but when she's older and can understand oil paint after quote I also learned how to use oil paint because I might have either we didn't mess with oil paint or we did one time and I just don't remember. But Bob Ross uses oil paint and he does not use acrylic paint. And although you can try your darndest to do acrylic paint, it just dries out too fast. It doesn't stay wet long enough. It's very hard. But nonetheless, like free days or like a day when I'm like, I just don't know what to teach you today. Let's just do a Bob Ross video. And we'll just paint a Bob Ross painting. And boom, there we go. That would be so fun. Um, paper layering, working on patterns, abstract art, ancient art, mosaics. Then I also have 3D sculptures, which that would be more of like with the dry clay. But then I also have like a 3D on paper kind of thing, um, which would be like making 3D either with paper. Well, no, the 3D sculpture would be potentially with paper also. Crumpling paper into certain shapes and somehow adhesing that to other crumpled paper shapes to like make like this weird crumpled paper sculpture. That could be really fun. Ooh. Ooh, I just had some ideas. Ooh, I just had some ideas. Ooh, I just had some ideas. That potentially could be really fun. Anyway, 3D on paper. There's also like a way to like layer paper to get like certain effects of like kind of like the vanishing point distance with layer paper, but that will be later when we work with vanishing points. Um anyway, so that's the list of quote styles that I have for right now. And of course, I hope to expand the list and add anything else I can think of adding, you know. Um let me see. I've decided I think the easiest way to kind of break down my thoughts and to organize things is to have like 1 month work on a specific thing and work on it in like four different ways in a sense. Which I'll explain that when I get to my lesson plans. Um I also at the end of every year want to do an art show for her. We didn't do an art show in my school growing up, but they have something called Panoply here in Huntsville. And my friend said, she goes, the local schools in Huntsville will like, Panoply has like a special section where they'll display students' artworks from the different schools that is entered. Because Panoply is kind of more like a vendor artwork thing where there's a lot of different vendors and people who are trying to sell art or do art or supplies for art. And I believe there's probably an art show for these vendors and other people of the community to put in their artwork. But then they have a special, like I said, a student section from the schools. And so she's like, so that kind of is like an art show for the kids in a sense. But then also Ava's school, the art club, they do an art show. They just had one a couple weeks ago. So I'm like, well, that'd be fun. Like, I would have loved at the end of the year to like get to display my artwork and my parents come and see it, you know? So since we're a little one student classroom here and I have a lot of like friends and family in the area, I think, it'd be really fun. Do like an open house kind of art show. Come and go as you please. There'll be like finger foods and stuff, and it'd be really fun. And then like for people who can't make it, who live out of state, I want to do like an e-tour, like a virtual, make a video of like, hey, this is like what we have and here's like what we were working on and stuff. Um I have things like the fundamental elements and principles of design written down in my notes, which we don't really need to work on that really right now. Not as a first grader. We have some easy things, but we don't have to like, we're not going to do like a full 4 week lesson on each individual element right now because A, we're just getting our footings. This is our first year doing this, but B, she's just a first grader. So like these words aren't going to stick with her. I can start once I have like a better recollective understanding of the elements and the design part, I can start really enforcing those in future years. So this is my lesson plan that I made for her second semester of her first grade year after finding out that she's not actually taking a real art class. Excuse me. So, January, just the materials. February is simple additives. March is shapes. April is history. And in May, I learned that Huntsville has an art museum. So I think it'd be really fun at the beginning of the year to go to the art museum, like, ooh, look, like, here's what we have, here's what we're working with, like, kind of like a fun, relaxed time, but also maybe to get, like, the brain going. And then at the end of the year, go back to the art museum and kind of pick out, like, oh, hey, like, we learned about this, we learned about that, and look, I see it in this artwork here and stuff. And then in May, I want to have the art show. So May is kind of like a relaxed month in a sense. So back to January, materials. So the first week we just got to know the materials. This year we're doing marker, watercolor. What are we doing? Oh crap! I just exited out of the note. Hold on. We're doing watercolor, marker, crayon, chalk. I need to find a better chalk because I have like I found this big box of chalk, but there's only 4 colors in it and there's so many of each color. So I need to find like a more inclusive box of small chalk. But also it's really cold outside, so I can wait a little bit. And then we're also using like rip paper, magazine paper, and nature as like our media materials. And we're not doing canvas this year, but we are doing printer paper, watercolor paper, and the colored construction paper. Um, but basically the first week is we just got to know like how does each medium work and react on each kind of paper, and how does it work with themselves, you know? How does how does each piece, so like on watercolor, if I watercolor this and then I add crayon on it, how well is the crayon going to stick to the paper? Or like on magazine, if I watercolor a magazine and then I put marker on it, like how well is marker going to stick to this, you know? So she just got to like experiment. She got to see how each thing worked with each thing, and then she got to experiment with combining different mediums with each other. We are doing rip paper art, kind of showing like we don't need all this extra material. We don't even need scissors. You know, you can make a picture just by ripping up colored paper and placing it in a certain way. Um, and then we're doing nature art, so that's like literally going out and getting what we can because it's January. Leaves, grass. It's January, but it's no snow January. There's some green grass out there. A lot of yellow grass, some green grass, lots of different kinds of leaves, alive leaves, dead leaves, pine needles, you know. Hell, rocks and dirt even. We can go all the way. Seeing what can we make just with not even store-bought things, but just like with what we have out in nature. Also, she loves to do like the leaf kind of crayon stamps in a way where you put a leaf under the paper and then you take your crayon and you color over it and it etches the leaf into it. I don't know what it's called, but she really loves doing that. And then we're gonna work with magazines, cutting out magazines, kind of doing like a collage style of of a project. So just I don't quite know where I'm going with that one, but taking things that are already made and making a picture out of that, but in a collage style. So she'll have fun. And she gets to cut things and use her scissors. She loves using her scissors. February, we're doing simple additives. So that's like we're doing the watercolor additives, like I was saying. So like, how can we manipulate the watercolor to show different textures? Because textures with watercolor is really interesting. I'm not gonna get into it. Um, this is also where we're going to do color values. So that's going to be like, okay, we have our medium green, like our central green, but then we have like a light green and a dark green too. Like we have like our regular blue, we have a light blue and a dark blue. And we're going to make like our color value charts basically with the mediums that we have. And how can we make light blue or dark blue not with these colors already pre-made? How can we make those colors with the white and the black, you know? We're going to be working on patterns, any pattern you can think of. We're going to work on like zigzags, dots, polka dots, circles, you know, like just any pattern she can think of to come to mind. And we're going to make like a big list, you know, because these patterns will also help in the future with making like texture things, you know. And then we'll be doing like a mosaic, which is different from a collage. A mosaic, we're going to take her colored paper and like cut them into shapes or squares, and then she has to put them together to completely cover but make a picture out of cut paper. So kind of similar to the rip paper, but a little more geometrically structured in a way, because the rip paper was not abstract, but it was an organic shape picture, and the mosaic is going to be kind of organic but not, using geometric shapes but kind of making an organic picture out of that. I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain because like I have it in my brain how I want it to go and what I want it to be, and I can't verbally explain that very well. So March, we're doing shapes, so we're going to work with geometric shapes, organic shapes, how geometric and organic shapes combined get us different shapes. And then that's where we're going to do our self-portrait. We're going to do I think we're going to do two different self-portraits. We're going to do like a geometric, like she can only use actual shapes like square, circle, triangle, star, whatever. And then she's going to do like an organic shape so she can like draw, you know, she can draw like a nose how she wants to draw a nose, or like her eyes aren't going to be perfect circles, or something. Um, and then April, we're doing art history, so we're going to do like some caveman art. We're going to look at hieroglyphics and how people would communicate with pictures between the two. Um, Something I saw was rock art, where people like chip into rocks to make art, or kind of like tablets, how they would have like the big square chunk of clay and they would like write the words into it, or their characters or whatnot. But people would take rocks and basically, I think, do kind of like caveman art, but chip it into the rocks, and that's how they would like tell their stories and communicate and stuff. We're not going to do that. We're going to paint rocks, but it's going to be similar. Like, she's going to get the point. And then we're going to do pottery art, like what the Greeks and Romans did with like writing the stories, drawing the stories on pots, which is really, I'm really excited because we get to go find some old pots and stuff from, I want to go to a thrift store. I don't want to just paint like some flower pots. I want to find like actual like older vases, or like crappy vases, and like give them a good paint down of a solid color, and then she can go to town with painting. We're going to like make a story, and then she's going to paint it on there. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to see what she does and where her brain goes with this. I'm also excited because in showing her, like, I have to show her how to do these things, so I have to make these things as well. I have to put my own artwork in. And one of my New Year's resolutions was to be more creative, and this is like a super simple, easy way for me to be more creative. Is to like, well, I have to show my daughter what, like, physically, how are we doing this, so she can kind of work on this skill and understand this skill and this idea of art, right? I'm so excited. And then May, we're going to go to the museum, and then we're going to get ready for the art show and stuff. So I am just I'm stupid excited. I promise you, I don't think, except for like going on like a fifth date with my boyfriend, I have never been so excited for something. And it's with my daughter, so this is like super good bonding time too, because it's time that I purposefully have to carve out. Because I'm so passionate about this, I have to set aside time that is not, hey Ava, go clean your room. Hey Ava, come help me with groceries. Come help me with dishes. Come help me with cooking. Come help me with cleaning. Because like I'm such a homemaker by default right now. And so a lot of my time, unfortunately, is if I'm not working, I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, I'm going to bed, you know? Because most of the time on the weekends, grocery shopping, putting away stuff, getting some cleaning done, and then dad's here to pick you up, you know? So this is time that I have to put aside for her. And it's such a positive bonding time. Now, her and I will go out and do like fun things. Like we'll go walk around the mall, or we'll go get lunch, or we'll go to a thing, or we'll go to Target, like I do keep in mind to try and do fun things with her on the weekend and stuff. Um, but this is something she loves, and this is something I'm super excited about, and I'm pumped, I'm psyched. I'm like, yes. Like, let's go. So, and I tell you what, it feels really weird telling you guys about this, because it feels like I'm bragging, like, oh yeah, well, I love art so much and I wanted to be a teacher so bad that I am just teaching my kid art because I'm good enough. And it's no, 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 no. I'm not good enough. I'm just passionate enough. Like, that's the thing. I could never expect like Josh to like teach her this or to do this with her because he's not passionate about art. He's passionate about other things. Like my friend, one of my other friends. I couldn't expect her to sit down like every week and like do this with her. Not even monthly. But she's got passions for other things. She's going to take my kid to Disney World for the first time. Am I mad about it? Hell no. She is a Disney adult. And my child's never been to Disney. And I'm fine. As an adult, I don't want to be around that many people. I don't want to be all hot and sticky. I don't want to be around all these children like that, all these germs. Oh my God, the germs. I don't have the drive to go to Disney World anytime soon. I would be interested in going to Epcot and drinking around the world. However, I'm also a lightweight, so I would get super tipsy off of one, you know? And it's kind of expensive to go drinking around the world at Epcot. Like you'd have to spend, you have to save a good bit of money. So I'm not really excited to Epcot to do an activity that A, I'm not good at, nor do I really care to, hence why I'm not good at it. I'm not good at, quote, drinking, because I don't care to consume alcohol regularly. Like, that's just a choice as an adult I've made. That's just a realization and a decision that I'm like, I just don't care to drink alcohol anymore. I don't like being even really slightly inebriated. So therefore, going to Epcot on purpose to get drunk for the whole day doesn't really sound like that much fun either. Unless they could make everything a virgin. I would like that. I know some drinks like beer over in Germantown, you can't make beer virgin, it'd be the mixed drinks, but a little sip off of everyone's I think would be fun. And honestly, take me to Disney for the food. Let's spend $200 on snacks around Disney. I'll go do that. I'll go to Disney for one day. I'll go to Epcot for one day and take pictures, get some ears, maybe a jewelry and a shirt, and call it a life. I'm good. I'll go to Disney. I'll make an effort to go to Disney once as an adult, to experience Disney as an adult. I've been to Disney World once when I was a kid. I was like 12. My sister was 8. It was fun as a kid. Everything was magical as a kid. But she wants to go to Disney. She already goes to Disney every other year. And she's like, can I take your kid? And I'm like, honestly, go for it. Please, have fun. So, do I trust her? Yes, of course I trust her. She's my best friend. She was there in the hospital holding one of my legs as my child was being produced into the earth. Yes, of course I trust her with my child. So, anyway, like I said before, anybody who, of course, like, I have time to do more research, and I will be doing more research, especially because this first semester, quote, year, is not very hard. Like, I just fit all this in really quickly. I thought of this up in like basically 3 hours, mostly because I was very excited. But all this is very easy stuff that I don't really need much coaching on how to teach it, because it's very simple subjects. Like I don't need coaching on this stuff. I'm good. Which gives me time to put lesson plans and to put like a timeline plan for the remainder of her schooling, you know? Um, Also, it makes me think if we ever had to put her back into public school, because we live in Huntsville, Huntsville has some of the best schools in Alabama. And her previous elementary school was very highly listed out of the elementary schools in Huntsville. So it makes me just wonder, like, potentially, what are they going to do? Like, what do the public schools? If the public schools do not teach art here the same way they taught art for me in Nebraska, what do they do? You know? So, I don't know. If anybody has any answers to that, I would shoot me an email, shoot me a message on TikTok, shoot me a message on Instagram. I would love to know. Um, and if anybody has any like extra teaching or reading material as far as art in elementary, send it my way, please. I will eat it up. Thank you. Thank you guys so much for listening. I really appreciate every single one of you. Please give me a comment. Give me a comment on whatever platform you're using, whether it's YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcast. I post TikToks. I'm trying to post more regularly, but like I'm just so busy. There's just so much going on in my life, and it's hard because I can't share everything here, you know? I share a lot of things here. I don't share everything here. I share most of everything though. I'm really busy right now, and I can't post a TikTok every day. And then also, if Josh goes to bed before me or at the same time as me, I don't like making TikToks in front of him. It's weird. So, yeah, it kind of just is what it is right now, everyone. But anyway, I love you guys, and I'll stop yakking at you, I guess. So, talk to you later. Bye.